Good morning, everyone. It's Miss T. I hope everyone had a good evening and woke up with in good spirits. Had a little word with the Lord, read a scripture, and that the rest of your day is going to be blessed. Today, what we're going to talk about is a little white lie. That's what some people call. We discussed it a little bit earlier. Another upload, but I wanted to express the reason why I feel all lies are big. Of course, when you're young, you're taught not to tell lies, but we tell them to get ourselves out of trouble so we don't get a whooping. And we think, kids just think that's not a bad thing. You're just trying to get yourself out of trouble. But as you grow and you learn that this tactic always works, the lies get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're learning that it's okay to tell a lie to get us out of trouble, big trouble, if it's going to cause some kind of concern about the consequences. There are people who sometimes we all ran into the habitual liar. I have a cousin who is a habitual liar. You can't believe, you have to verify everything that she says because you can't believe anything out of her mouth. And that's a sad thing, because when I know they feel frustrated when they're really telling the truth, but nobody believes them because you've lied so many times. And so we down those people. You lie all the time. You tell, but do we think what we do is okay just because we tell a little white lie to get ourselves out of trouble, or to put the blame maybe not on us? Well, a little white lie can turn into a huge lie. And I like to read history, and some of the stories that I read, I have to, because I do get upset, and I have to remember that this was a long time ago. It already happened. There's nothing that can be done about it. But throughout history, whenever you read something, you find that black men and women have been lied on purposely, and a lie led to their demise. Now, if you tell a lie now, you might, it possibly, I don't know, maybe it possibly could lead that way, but it usually isn't in that big of a form. But what I mean is, men, Caucasian men used to, or their wives would tell a lie on a black person, just to get them hung, or whatever. Look at what happened to Emmett Till, who was a 14-year-old boy who went to visit his family down south, and of course they told him the rules, what you're not supposed to do, and but they're children. I couldn't imagine having to be a child, worry about all the things going around me, and to worry about to mind myself, make sure I don't walk on a sidewalk, keep my head down, all those different things that they had to go through. But he was visiting his cousins, and he went into a store. Now, nobody really knows the true story about what happened in the store, but later on that evening, he was taken from his uncle's house by 4 white men, and I think they had a black man with them. He was beaten, tortured, and they don't know how long it went on, but they found him in the river with a big industrial fan tied around his neck. That became a big story because his mother wouldn't let them close the casket. She let the casket be open so everyone could see. Now, the reason why he was they did that to him is because his wife supposedly said that the little boy whistled at her or something like that, whistled at her. And she's passed now, so I don't know, but they said throughout the years she's recanted the story, and then then she says it's true, and then she goes back. But I don't know what was in their minds before they took him. But even if he was a child, and first of all, they don't look at our young boys as kids. They look at as men. They executed an 12-year-old boy down south many years ago. And I get upset when I talk about it, but I'm going to get through this. So they did all these things, tortured this boy, and and I know he had to been wanting his mother or someone to help him, and he couldn't. There was nobody there to help him, and even the black man that was there, he couldn't help him. I mean, if he did, he would reach he would get the same thing. So I know that it was hard for him to deal with throughout his life, what he witnessed and what he participated in, that he, I'm sure, did not want to, but he was in fear of his life. So that was that was based on a lie. There was a man who was walking down the road. Just you could be snatched up for. They would take you anything. Make up anything. Sometimes just for sport, because they wanted to have a reason to do what they did to you, even though they don't have to. But it sounds better if you say this person did this. The story of Rosewood was based on a lie, and the lie grew and grew, and it ended up killing hundreds of people and destroying a black town that was very lucrative. They had built their own stores and all were working for themselves and doing real good. And so the other town where the Caucasian people lived were envious of those people because they were hard workers and they had things, and they were kind of country people. They just did whatever, and they were envious. But it only took a lie to spark the flames of a lady saying that she was assaulted by a black man. And what really happened is one of her numerous boyfriends assaulted her while he was visiting her, and her husband was at work. So what they did, because they're looking for a fictitious man, everyone became the man. The women became the man. The children became the man. The babies became the man. And they wiped out a whole town. I don't even care. I don't even think I don't even think they really believed her, or I don't even think after a while, that didn't even matter. they just wanted to. It only takes a spark of flame to start, and then for people to go with it. So people have been using, like they'll say, a little white lie won't hurt because, she said something on my taxes or whatever. But we really don't see where that has come from. Our people were able to be snatched out of their homes, taken to a dark place by gunpoint, and the fear that had to be in their minds when a group of white men, 5, 6, 10, come and get you out of your home and drive you off somewhere, and you don't know what's going on, but you probably know what the outcome is going to be. So the fear of that, driving down the road, and these men are mocking you or making fun of you or saying things to you, and you can't really even do anything but beg for your life. And when he asked what his offense was, they say that he stole a watermelon. Now, I don't know why the watermelon and chicken is associated with black people. I don't know if that was because there was a lot of stories about black people, and because I believe white people eat just as much watermelon as black people. But these are the ridiculous lies just made up. Doesn't have an ounce of truth in it, to take a human being's life, not just to take their life, but to torture them. I've never seen a group of people that enjoyed, how many ways is there to take a person's life? You tie their hands behind their back so that they can't, fight back, and you tie their feet so they can't run, and you might tie them up against a tree or hang them from the tree. But before you do that, you may cut off their fingers, or they're still alive, you'll cut off their ears, cut off their private parts, pour gasoline at their feet and set it on fire so that they can burn alive. And you stand there and enjoy hearing a person screaming while they're being burned to death, all because of a lie. So what I say, I always say the truth is the best way to go. Always. Once you tell a lie, you're going to have to keep telling the lie to keep the lie going. Plus, it says in the Bible that God hates lies. He doesn't. Those are one of the things that he has a problem with, is for people to lie. Because lying can come in every kind of form. You can lie, like I said, that ultimate would be somebody's death. Or you can lie and get somebody put in prison for however many years, because that's happened a lot when they scream that famous R word, and people are put in prison and half their life is taken away from them. And you if you understand the reasoning, I pray to God, I can't come to tell a lie when I know what it did to my people? Sure, I'm sure if they lied back then, it was, no big deal. But on top of being treated like you were nobody, on top of being just in fear of everything, the husband had to be in fear of keeping his family safe, and the mother had to be in fear of the kids coming home safe, and the kids had to be, sure not to do this or say this. They had to worry about if somebody decided they didn't like them, or somebody decided they wanted to have fun on a Saturday night, or if somebody decided that you looked at them the wrong way. They're going to tell a lie that's going to possibly take your life. And that had the stress of that alone. We have stressors, with bills, but the stress and the pain and the agony of trying to keep a home together and trying to stay out of the way. The term trying to stay out the way should have really came from that era. You could be just walking down the street and a group of white men will say, we'll take that one. And you just happen to be white. So the term stay out the way, I'm trying to be out the way, get out the way, whatever, and trying to live a normal life was very hard for them. And I'm so into trying to honor the people from back then, because I couldn't imagine that life and what they lived through, and how from slavery on till today that black people are the only group of people who are still looked at that way, are still considered less than. And so I don't want to tarnish what they had to go through. So when I see people or hear people accuse somebody of something, but they really don't, it's that I heard, I always, just because you heard, if you don't have proof, you can't accuse anybody of anything. Because that's dangerous. You can't, without the true information, without proof, you can't just go around accusing people of anything. You shouldn't. And if you do, shame on you. I don't know if you wouldn't care if a lie that you told hurt somebody or got them unalived, but I couldn't do that. I know a lot of people out there couldn't and wouldn't do such a thing. But we always just think of ways to get through life. So what I'm saying, if you have done something wrong, stand up and take the consequences. That's what a real person, I'm going to say a person, but a real man should be able to stand up and be able to take the consequences that he has put on himself. It seems like we're tough and not afraid of things when we're doing those things, but as soon as you get caught for those things, it's a different story. We start to, I don't know. Maybe there's a story. I would love to hear a story of a man who was doing something wrong with his friends, and he did this and did that, and they arrested all of them, but he stood up and said, I was the only one who did it. They didn't do anything. I'm sure there's men like that. But you should be ready to take on the consequences that you have when you tell a lie. And hopefully that it's just not in you to go around telling lies about anything, about people or anything. Some people like to exaggerate their life, add extra, but it's still a lie. Of course, we're on a social media, so people don't know each other, really, unless they've, met up. But people on here, you can tell anybody anything. They don't know. The picture that you have, that might not even be you. I guess that's why some people like for people to cam up, and even though that is the person, you still don't, just because you see their face doesn't mean you know them. So you get on here and tell, you could be telling stuff that you really shouldn't be telling, and people can, it's just an evil world, and people look for many ways to maneuver themselves through it, or to make money, or to do anything. You could be the man who betrayed Fred Hampton, was paid money. He would tell them, it really wasn't lies he was telling them. He was telling them different things about the organization, but the point is he was doing it for money. And like I said, the love of money is the root of all evil. He betrayed his friend who was risking his life for him and every other black person, every other minority person in the world, for money. And that grief became so too much for him, and he took his life. So basically, the things that you do have consequences, whether it's a lie or whatever that's not good, has consequences. And do you really think about what's going to happen if you do this? Do you sit around and in a group of people and you guys decide that you want to make some quick money and let's go rob something? Is there anyone in the group who says, if we do that, we might get caught? If we get caught, that's a federal offense. If we get federal time, Junebug, you just been in prison. They're going to throw the book at you. You won't get out of jail for the rest of your life, and such and such, such and such. Does anybody ever think about consequences that are going to happen? Because they must not. Because some people wouldn't do things that they do. The mind must be so gone, so damaged, that they can't think that far. Just the opportunity is right there, and that's what they see as an opportunity. Somebody kidnapping a child in the middle of the day with in their car with their license plate number on the back. Do they really think that wasn't thought out? Are we so damaged in the brain that the things that we have to do them? We have to do them. We don't care about the consequences. We have to do them. There was, during the COVID, the government was allowing people who own their own businesses money for losses, to pay wages and whatever else they needed for their business. And most of the money went to people who lied, didn't have a business, filled out the form and got a bunch of money. And some people went as far as to get millions of dollars. Now, they did go after those people and lock them up. But we have just become just a world of Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. Nothing good, nothing righteous is fun. It really doesn't make sense to do the right thing, because people will say you'll never get ahead. They'll bring you down. You got to get what you got to get all these sayings that we use to justify the wrong thing to do. And yes, we have been justly we have been labeled all kinds of things, even in other countries, because that's what they see. That's what the United States portrayed us, how they portrayed us to other countries. And so people in their mind believe, we deserve more. We deserve our money, our 40 acres and a mule. And so some people think that this is their way of getting it. I'm going to take the government for all they, But who does it hurt? It doesn't. You're hurting other people with your. Look at the people who really had businesses. Were they able to get compensated? Or did the funds run out because somebody else who didn't have a business filled out the forms first? Who's it really hurting if you cheated on your exam and you passed? But the person, I guess it's just, you can look at it as your character, because the person who studied all night and been a good student missed it by just a margin. And somebody offered to sell them the answers and they refused it. Does anybody have a conscience anymore? A conscience is what tells you in your mind, I know this is wrong. So it's basically you're going back and forth with yourself, saying, if I do, and you usually go with your gut. It's wrong. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something else because but I don't know. I guess either some people do not have consciences, or somebody's conscience tells them to do wrong. I had a friend who told me that she didn't have a conscience, and I asked her, so how do you? I didn't understand. How do you feel about other people? I mean, how do you tell what you not to do, or how do you feel about other people, or how do you? And she says that she didn't. I don't. And then I seen what a person with no conscience can do. Well, we're not friends anymore, but I was able to witness firsthand what a person with no conscience can do. It means they don't care about they don't care about anybody but themselves. So if they have to hurt someone, um, it doesn't matter. One of the things that, so I had to be like, we were friends for many, many years, but coming towards the end of the friendship, I was very careful around her. And we all had a friend. He lived in Canada, but he was here burying his mother. And we all hung out one night, and I guess he made her mad. He did something, made her mad. So the next day, she sent me and my friend this, and I might have told this story, this mugshot. It didn't have his face. Did it have his face? But it had his name, address, didn't have his birthday, and something else. And it said, his charges were about children. And of course my friend was like, I can't believe it. And I started to look at that. I said, this doesn't even have an age on it. It looked legitimate. I think it did have his face on there, but it didn't have his age. And then she would, and didn't have a lot of stuff. It just didn't seem right to me. So I told my friend, I don't trust this. I don't believe this. And he lives in Canada. It didn't even have a logo, like from whatever. So I told my friend, I sent her back, I replied to her, and I told her, I don't believe that this is true. I don't know where you got it from. I wasn't telling it to her like I thought she made it up. I was making it sound like the person or the you got it from, or the whatever you got it from. I don't believe that this is authentic. And so, because she couldn't convince us that was true, she went and said, oh, I found out that it was his son, because his son does have his name. He's a junior. And she said, oh yeah, because his birthday, and it was true, it was his son. But she changed all the information to make it seem like it was him, and she tried to convince us. So she was willing to smear his name, his reputation, ruin his reputation over maybe an argument or something minor. Those people are dangerous, so you do need to look out for those people. They're conniving. You can't have a debate. You can't debate with them or get them to see what you're saying, because they don't care. You can talk to them and give them a lecture and tell them, what you're doing is wrong, but they don't care, because they have no conscience. And so I don't know what's going in her life right now, but she went downhill a while because of the things that she was doing. I told her, you have consequences. You can't just go around life doing things to people and not expecting to pay for it. And yeah, it went downhill for her. But I pray that she's okay and living her life. There's different kinds of people. There's different kinds of personalities we meet. They always throw out these names. You're a narcissist. You have a personality disorder. You're all these different things. And people used to say they always, but I don't know. some of it is true. I believe they're narcissist people. Maybe that's what she has. I don't know. But you can't win with any of them. So I suggest not even try. You can't change them. You can't reason. You can't do anything but be a victim of them. And I know I turned this into it, but you know me, everybody knows me. I will turn one little talk into you just know me, I'll bring it back around. And so you just need to watch out what, you need to be aware of people that you're dealing with. Be careful. I don't know if people nowadays say, some people say, I don't need new friends, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not that type of person. If I meet somebody and we click, I don't have a problem with having a friendship. I don't think everybody is out to get me, or everybody's out for something until you show me. I don't let it I don't let it go on for long. If I see something, immediately I end it immediately, because that's what happens to how we get attached to people, or we get into situations that we can't get out of because we see all the signs, but we let it keep going on and on and on, when we know we should have cut it off in the beginning. But I'm not going to be too long. This just came to me, and I'm going to be transparent. I want you guys to pray for me. I have a situation with my teenage son, and he's not a bad kid. He's just sometimes rebellious. More of his frustration is outside, dealing with, what the law, not the law, because he's never been in trouble with the law, but just the school, everybody he sees is white, and he's listened to the white people are this and white people that. And so I try to tell him there's good in everybody, try to teach him the right way. But he made a mistake, and he told a lie to get out of it. And today I'm going to make him tell the truth. Some of you might say, that why would you do so? If he's gotten away with it, why would you? But I can't raise my son to believe that things that you do, first of all, that you don't have to be held accountable for, and second of all, that you can lie to get out of. I'm not, his integrity is being lessened. Once you lie and get out of this, you tell a big lie and get out of that, and then you continue, and it continues, and that's your life. And I don't want that for him. Now, whatever the consequences are for him, I told him he'll just have to accept those and learn. It's not a real major thing where he'll be locked up or anything, but it could possibly take him away from school for a while, or be, homeschooled or whatever. But my thing is, I can't even tell how can I let him do the things that I don't do or I don't stand for? I would be a hypocrite. I would be doing an injustice to him. I would be doing injustice to you guys. And that's that. I'll be transparent. Whatever happens, I will let you know. But I always believe the right way is God's way. There is no other way, and all He asks is that you do right. You abide by His laws and serve Him, and you won't have any problems. Everybody makes mistakes because He says we're all sinners and we all fall. But He never said if you make a mistake that I'm going to write you out and you're not going to be covered anymore. You can't. I won't accept I won't forgive you. He never said that. So if He says that, then you should be able to know that the mistakes that you make can be forgiven. They might not be forgiven here on earth, some of the mistakes people make, but God will forgive you. I just want, and I've explained to him why that I'm making him making him tell the truth, but I think he was upset with when I told him, but I think now he knows that my mom's not going to, she's going to still be my mom. She's not going to disown me. She's not going to do any, she just wants me to do the right thing. So I think he feels a little better about what he has to do. It's just getting past now telling the truth of his mistake. I don't know how any other parent would feel. I don't know how anybody else would do it. The only reason why I'm telling this is because the things that I talk about are sometimes, most of it, I've dealt with, or I've seen someone else go through it, or it's not just, I'm not just talking from a book or anything. I'm talking from life. And so in order for you guys to understand how I feel and why I get on here day after day and tell you guys things and ask that you come to the Lord or whatever, is because that's what I truly believe, that if in order to be saved, in order to even live in this world, not of this world, but you have to have the armor of God. There's people around the corner that are ready. You don't even know them. You don't even know who your enemy is. You don't know who's out there ready to smear your name. You don't know anything. You just wake up, you try to, live your life, and then poof, one day you're being arrested. You don't know why. Because someone said that, and if someone said something bad about you and it was a lie. But even if they find out it was a lie, your name has been smeared. And sometimes that damage cannot be reversed. People have lied and said, my dad did this to me when I was little, and I don't take away from the stories of the young girls. God be with them. But people do certain things out of anger and cause people, to be accused, sometimes convicted, but or not be convicted, but your name is already, your reputation is already damaged. and you can't come back from that, or the stress from trying to clear your name and letting people know this is not true, and your family members looking at you, because that type of thing has been so common. People want to start looking, even if they feel like, okay, he's not that type of person. As time goes by, they'll just even look at you differently. Find out that maybe you didn't do it, but that feeling that they had about you before is not there. It's changed. And so I don't want him to think that, this is how, I don't think he's that type of person. He doesn't just go around lying on people and stuff. But lying to get yourself out of trouble is not right either. A lie is a lie. I don't care what kind of lie it is. It's still a lie. And God already said that he hates lies. And you can understand why. A lie can take someone's life, ruin someone's reputation, do all sorts of things for people. So the next time you hear a little bit of gossip and it's juicy and it sounds, you're like, oh my goodness, sit back and think about how would you feel if people were saying something about you that you knew was not true, but they were just listening and it's juicy and they were repeating it to everybody and it's getting repeated, and you knew it wasn't true. We love them stories. We love to hear the stories. And God, did you hear about so and so? We love them type of stories. And we don't wonder the consequences. We don't even think that it's a lie. We think it's the truth automatically because somebody said it. But we don't think of the consequences that might happen to this person, because it's a lie. You just want to have, the world is full of people that just want to be entertained, and when you're being entertained, you're not being educated. There are far too many things going on in this world, far too many. And I believe that the check mark, we're just down not too far from the list of things that you can check off that the Bible says will happen before Jesus comes. I think we're further down the list than we are up. So we probably can check off a few more after today. But people don't recognize, don't realize, don't care. I don't know. But God has put it on my heart to come on here every day. Sometimes I don't have what to say until it pops in my head. I just pray to him. I said, whatever you want me to say, just tell, just sometimes I just push the button and start talking, because it's not by my will. This is what I know you would like to say, oh, she's trying so hard to help us get it right. And I do want you to get it right. But also, God is telling me that's what I must do. And even though I care about you and want you to do right, I want to go be in heaven. I want to do what he's asking me to do so that I can be assured that my salvation is good. I would like to say I probably would. I'm a people person. I like to like I said, I'm for the underdog. I like to stand up for people being bullied and all that stuff has just always been in me. My grandma instilled these things in me, and I've been that way since a child. I remember there was a center down the street from our house where you could go down and you could play basketball, and whatever for kids. Well, it really started to be a hangout for kids, adults, and all mixed in the same area. And I told you that I was very overly protective of my siblings. And so my little brother, who is now my big little brother, he's 6'4". We were down there, and there he was standing in the door, and this grown man came and stood. He was coming through the door, and he told my brother to get out the way. So I stood there. I told him, don't you move. Now, me being a child, of course, that man probably would have, if he, whatever. But I was, at that moment, all I knew was, my little brother is not, you're not going to, scare. I could see the look in my brother's face. And then when I said not to move, he looked at me like, but the man went around and went out the other door. So yeah, I don't, sometimes my mouth or sometimes my actions may get me in situations, but I can't help it. I try, but evidently that's what my character is. I don't that's just what I do. So I used to say I pray that God keeps me out of situations, but now I know that I have to be in situations so that I know what I can do, I know what I'm supposed to do. And so I'm learning this every day too. That's about all I have. I started off talking about lying. So the last part, I'm going to say I will let you guys know the consequences. I don't know if he's going to get consequences today, tomorrow, next week. I don't know. I ask that you pray for him. And we'll see. I wanted to say, Dee, I love you so much. Thank you for keep pushing me to do my uploads and keep letting me know how proud and how important they are. So I thank you, and I always appreciate you. Until the next time.